You ever wake up thinking you're in some weird dream only to realize it's just your HOA being themselves again? It was 7 a.m., and I stepped out onto my deck, coffee in hand, to the sound of a diesel engine coughing near the lake. What I saw next: a tow truck reversing down the boat ramp, chains rattling like it was hauling stolen treasure. Except, it wasn't a car, it was my two fiberglass kayaks, dangling like they'd been busted by the Coast Guard. The driver gave me a shrug and a sheepish wave. Standing off to the side, sipping cucumber water like a queen at her coronation, was the new HOA President Darcy Whitmore. She wore a sash that said Lake Enforcement and clutched a clipboard like it was the Constitution. That's when I knew this wasn't about rules. This was personal. I'm Jesse. I live on the edge of Clearwater Ridge, a serene patch of lakefront I inherited from my grandfather. He spent his life restoring the natural balance of this lake, even signing a conservation agreement with the state. Technically, I own the majority of the shoreline and maintain the environmental oversight. But when a fancy new development went up on the southern tip last year, it brought in a whole lot of people with a whole lot of opinions, and one of them was Darcy. Darcy didn't just want order. She wanted control. Within 6 months, she'd turned a group of wine-loving retirees into a mini militia. HOA flyers multiplied like rabbits. Trash guidelines, mailbox inspections, even rules on paddle length for boats. Then came the 40-page lake usage handbook, and suddenly, my private dock was labeled non-compliant. Still, I stayed out of it until she came after Walter. Walter's a retired firefighter who uses one of my kayaks for water therapy. One morning, he was stopped by Darcy's minions Rick and Paul, who told him he was trespassing with an illegal vessel. The man left humiliated. When I checked my dock, the kayaks were gone. Security footage confirmed it. They'd been taken by HOA contractors, no notice. No warning. Just gone. I marched down to the HOA clubhouse, which looked more like a spa than an office, and confronted Darcy. She gave me a laminated pamphlet and a fake smile, saying my kayaks violated subsection 22C. I told her I never agreed to those rules. She smirked and said, "Your consent isn't required." That's when I stopped being polite. Back at my cabin, I pulled out the old conservation file. My grandfather had set up a system that gave us environmental authority over the lake's southern half, including water level regulation. I called my attorney friend Monica, who specialized in environmental law. After reviewing the documents, she laughed and said, "Looks like it's time for a little recalibration." The next morning, I filed the proper forms with the state and initiated what I called a temporary ecological maintenance drawdown. In other words, I started draining the lake. Legally. By mid-afternoon, the water had receded just enough to tilt Darcy's new floating brunch deck. Her HOA-branded paddle boats stranded. Her jet ski rentals sitting useless in the mud. By the next day, the floating patio had fully grounded itself. Darcy sent Rick to confront me. I offered him lemonade and pointed to the county-approved permit posted beside my dock. He left mumbling something about calling an emergency board meeting. Then the drama exploded. Local Facebook groups lit up with rumors. Some thought it was a sinkhole. Others blamed a government conspiracy. One person accused me of launching a silent protest against brunch. I stayed quiet, taking sediment samples and documenting the maintenance. I even put up a sign, "Lake Maintenance in Progress. Authorized access only." Darcy didn't take it well. She called the county, tried filing a restraining order, even accused me of disrupting wildlife. Monica countered with drone footage showing the HOA had previously dumped gravel and concrete into the lake without permits. The judge tossed their complaint and launched an investigation into the HOA's unlicensed development. That should have been the end, but Darcy went full rogue. One night, my wildlife cameras caught her sneaking around in head-to-toe black, trying to tamper with my pump system. She slipped in the mud, face planted into lake sludge, then limped off, furious and dripping. Monica submitted the footage to the county. No charges, just public humiliation. The clip went viral. Locals dubbed her Muck Queen. After that, everything unraveled. Rick was suspended. Paula quit. Residents held unofficial meetings in garages. Teens threw mud soccer tournaments. Stickers started popping up around town saying, "Drain responsibly." Darcy was voted out by a landslide and moved to a gated community with HOA rules so strict. Rumor has it lawn gnomes are illegal. Eventually, the new HOA board approached me with humility. They asked if we could co-manage the lake, keep things balanced. I agreed on one condition: no brunch barges. We restored the lake slowly. I bought 2 new kayaks, one for me, one for Walter. We had a small gathering. No speeches, just neighbors sharing stories, fishing, and sipping lemonade. And that, my friends, is how 2 kayaks, one power-hungry sash queen, and a stubborn lakefront legacy reminded everyone what community's supposed to be. What do you think? Was I out of line or just playing by the rules better than they did? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I am curious where you stand in all this HOA madness.